There are many different ultra shortcuts in Mario Kart Wii. One of them is the Mario Circuit Ultra Shortcut. There are 5 main glitch strategies that have been used in runs, some being easy and some being quite difficult to master. The Mario Circuit Ultra Shortcut is the first and easiest clip glitch most players learn, and while it is harder to perform than shortcuts on tracks such as Warl's Gold Mine, Crumple Volcano, and Mushroom Gorge, it is a shortcut that anyone can do for themselves. Today, I will take you through 3 of these methods, as well as give an in-depth overview and tutorial for each glitch. But first, how does this Ultra even work? If you're watching this video, then you probably already know how an Ultra Shortcut works, but just in case you don't, simplified, Ultra Shortcuts in this game require the player to leave the finish line checkpoint box, which is checkpoint 0, and enter the last key checkpoint of the track without touching the checkpoint box directly behind the finish line or skipping more than 95% of the track. There are a few small variables, but generally if these conditions are met, then a lap skip can be achieved. For the Mario Circuit Ultra Shortcut, the same principle can be applied. We start behind the finish line in key checkpoint 4, clip over the invisible wall to down below, we drive into the tunnel, which is actually key checkpoint 0 extending from the ceiling above. From there, all we have to do is drive the lap as usual, crossing key checkpoint 4 as we do so. Upon finishing the lap, it counts. Perfect. Before I continue with the tutorial, it is very important to understand how a wall clip even works. Basically, in this game, when you hit a wall, you get a small bounce sent back from it. And if you hit the corner of the wall, you can hit the wall but maintain your forward momentum. This is very important for a wall clip. If you combine this factor with a wheelie and 5 frames of airtime prior to the clip, you get a large bounce that sends you high in the air. There's a number of factors that cause the height of the wall clip. One is the bike tilt, which in this case we use a wheelie to obtain, and airtime is also very important with the wall clip. There's a lot of stuff you can do with a wall clip in this game, and is even used in some of the hardest shortcuts this game has to offer. Pretty sweet. Let's take a look at method number 1, the right side true clip. Now, first, I just want to clear up a common misconception. Most people think that the left side tree clip is easier than the right side tree clip. This is just not true. Not only is it slower, it is also much harder than the right side tree clip. This is because of the height that you have to obtain compared to the right side tree clip. Due to its difficulty compared to the right side tree clip and the fact that it is much slower, I will not be covering it in this video. Alright, here's the right side tree clip. We approach this tree near the end of the lap, turn at a 45-degree angle, shroom wheelie, clip the tree, land below, and from there all you gotta do is drive the lap as usual. Another thing to note is that we're using the spear for this glitch. Not only is it the fastest vehicle in the game, it is also very bouncy, which makes wall clips much easier. At the end of the lap, stop in the middle of the road and turn around here. The positioning is not very specific, so don't worry too much about it. I have made an alignment ghost for myself. From there, all you gotta do is turn 45 degrees and face the tree. You're gonna want to line a ways left than you would think. I used a crack in the bricks when I first started, but once you get used to it, you kind of just eyeball it and go with it. From there, release the standstill mini turbo and wheelie. After waiting a few moments, you're gonna want to shroom. Now you should get launched up by the curb and clip the tree. And when you clip the tree, you gotta hold left. From there, if all goes well, you make it over the invisible wall and land down below. From there, all you gotta do is finish the lap as usual. Pretty simple. There's a few things that can happen when you're going for this, so let's get right into the common fails. Now, the first and most common fail is getting unlucky QM. QM stands for quantized movement, and basically, in short, this means your bike skips over the correct frame needed to get the launch off the curb there, so it's not really in your control. The next one is a low clip. You get the launch off the curb, you get the clip, but you don't get enough height to make it over the invisible wall. This can be caused by QM, and it can also be caused by hitting the tree too far to the right. So aim a little bit to the left next time. Alright, that pretty much sums up the right side glitch. Now there's not much to it, and after a little bit of trying, I am sure that every single one of you can get that shortcut down. But what if you want to go faster? Lucky for you, there's a number of advanced strategies that you can use to improve your time. The next two are going to require a little bit more skill than the last one, but I'm still sure you guys can get these. Let's get right into it. Method number 2, woodless. Now, the reason it is called woodless is because it is the only method to Mario Circuit glitch that does not involve a tree clip. We actually clip off of a cliff in this case. So you shroom wheelie, clip the cliff, hit the flagpole, go into the tunnel through the floor, and continue the race as usual. At the beginning of the race, turn around and head for the area near the plant. You want to be around the markings shown on the cliff. Stop and charge a standstill mini turbo and face the edge of the cliff. Your positioning here is very important, and I'll get more into that later. Let off of your standstill mini turbo and begin to drive forward slightly. After a few frames, shroom and wheelie. In order to get a wall clip, we must bounce and obtain at least 5 frames of airtime, which is why we must perform this sequence. When you hit the cliff, begin to hold right, and if all goes well, you should hit the finish line pole. Begin to nosedive and hold A plus B to start charging a standstill mini turbo. Release the MT and drive the lap as usual. Let's take a look at that recovery one more time. The reason why you want to hold right and then left when you land inside the tunnel right before you release the mini turbo is because you get a slight boost in momentum towards the right when you release the mini turbo. And that pretty much sums up the woodless clip. It's best to use on lap 1 because of the smaller distance you need to drive backwards before doing the wall clip. Let's take a look at some common fails again. The first one happens when you have a poor alignment, but you do get 5 frames of airtime. You get a small boost up in the air, but not the full clip. The next one is when you have a good alignment, but you get less than 5 frames of airtime prior to the clip. You hit the cliff, but you do not get a high boost in the air. The next one is a low clip. This can be caused by having too many frames of airtime or by having a lower speed when you clip. This one clips at 103 kilometers per hour, while a good one will clip at around 112. This one is poor positioning. If you're too far right or too far left of the perfect positioning, then you'll fly right past the flagpole and miss it. This is why positioning is so important with this shortcut. You gotta be in the perfect spot. So that's the lap 1 world record method. Let's take a look at the laps 2 and 3 method, task glitch. This method is another tree clip, this time on the left side. Most people call it the task glitch because it was first found in a tool-assisted speedrun, and more recently was implemented into RTA runs. It is a curveless clip, meaning it also relies on wheelie bounces in order to get a high clip. The reason why this method is fastest is because it allows the player to clip over the invisible wall, hit checkpoint 0, counting the lap in the process, and bounce off the tunnel and charge a standstill mini turbo in the process. The reason why a normal left side tree clip is slower is because it requires the player to drive into the tunnel to hit checkpoint 0 before continuing. This method effectively removes that requirement as it hits checkpoint 0 mid-air. There are a decent amount of precise inputs with this method, so it is not for everyone. At the end of the lap, approach this plant near the second tree on the left. You kind of want to position yourself on the back right side of the plant, and it is important to note that initial positioning is important with whether the clip will count the lap and bounce off the right area or not. Align with the right side of the tree. This method uses a precise double wheelie in order to obtain massive bounces required for the clip. First, perform a wheelie. Once the wheelie nears its peak height, shroom, and slightly after shrooming, wheelie. If this is done right, you should start bouncing forward at the tree. This will take a decent amount of practice to get right, but it's not hard after a while. Right before hitting the tree, begin holding left and continue to hold left after the cliff. If all is done right, you should get a high clip. In order to bounce off the tunnel the right way, you must land in a very specific spot on the out of bounds plane shown here. Once midair, you can begin to nosedive down towards the location. Right before hitting the green area above the tunnel, begin holding A and B to charge the standstill mini turbo. Upon landing, release the standstill mini turbo and continue the lap as usual. Let's take another look at that in real time. The wheelie timing is kind of like a boom ba boom. This is the best I can describe it. Additionally, there's a few different types of landings you can get. You can get a really good landing like this that shoots you super far forward, or you can get a terrible landing like this, getting stuck on the bricks of the tunnel. Fortunately, that doesn't happen too often. Usually you get something in between. Let's take a look at some more common fails. The first one is a low clip. It is caused by either poor QM or hitting the tree too far to the left. The next one is hitting the out of bounds plane. This means you're too far right. This can be caused by poor positioning at the beginning or poor mid-air alignments. The next one is too far left. This also can be caused by poor positioning or mid-air inputs, and you basically just fall off towards the left. In this next one, it's the same thing except you don't even get the lap count to begin with. This means you're way too far left. Alright, that's all I have for you guys. I wish you luck in your attempt with this shortcut. It may be frustrating at first, but as you practice it and get better, it becomes quite fun. Feel free to leave questions and comments below and I will do my best to answer them. There's also some helpful exemplars that you can watch if you're interested. Thanks for watching.